Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is Dr. Rao. Welcome, everybody, or the people who are seeing me on replay. Either way, I just want to say something about why we have eternal wars. That's the topic is very current, very much on my mind all the time. And I wrote a ebook on what are our mortal challenges and how can we understand them, and also how can we have a solution from the age old wisdom from the ancients to now. Everybody, modern scholars, modern leaders also have solutions, but why they are not happening, and what is it in the human beings that are engaging in conflicts, all sorts of conflicts, right? From domestic, household, among the siblings, among the families, among the institutions, and so many ways, right? So we are always having that problem. So why we do that, is what I wanted to kind of present you my understanding of it, and the so-called solution from my understanding of the ancient wisdom, right? Um, it doesn't have to be everybody is, but then I just hope to put a spark to think on these points, right? So if you look at it, at any given time, it was said at least 50 wars going on in the world. That itself, many people are not aware, and they are going all the time. Why these eternal wars among one tribe, that is human beings tribe, right? Um, so it's an enormous dastardly thing. Wars are. They are tremendous suffering goes on, not only the people who go and fight the wars and die or get maimed or come back home really post-traumatic stress disorder. All these things I have seen. I've seen patients who were veterans of the war and who were really paying a dear price for that, right? So that kind of thing was there all the time. So I began to think about it, and also exposed to major philosophers and thinkers on this topic. And it all comes down to one thing. We kind of identify with things that are not really needed or necessary, but psychologically we get identified, and we kind of get into like a conflicting divisions, right? Um, so I was just wondering about that, and yeah, let me invite these people too. Okay. So why the eternal wars? Why don't we learn from the previous wars? There's a tremendous history. Generations of people were killed and maimed and really destroyed, right? There's so much suffering happens. So many mothers cry because their sons and daughters are killed. So many becomes widowed, and so many children are without fathers and mothers, and leave alone the physical and mental suffering of the people who really go through that suffering, but also the families suffer, the country suffer, the economy suffer. Then why don't we learn? Why don't we understand that this is destructive behavior on our part? Where is our evolution? How did we evolve as human beings and understand that these divisions are causing these wars and producing enormous suffering. Okay, it is about identification. You identify with a particular nation, and you are brainwashed to be patriotic against other nations. You are identified with a particular religion, and you don't want to tolerate other religions, and you want to identify with particular ideology, and then you separate yourself from few thoughts that come and go. That is the ideology, right? So this identification is something we need to look at as human beings. See, we live only on one earth, and we belong to the world, and the entire human beings on one world, one earth, is one tribe. You know, the ancients talked about the entire world is being one family. No geographical divisions. More than that, even if you have geographical divisions for governance, you don't separate yourself being this particular nation, that particular nation, and all that. You could be learning from your history, culture, and civilization that you have developed. That's all fine. But then, can you really be aware that we are dividing ourselves by identifying so? So this is a very important thing I think civilized people should think about and look at the facts, look at where you are, what you are, right? The powerful people will really take advantage of the less powerful people, and African countries, Asian countries, or South America, they're all poor and um really try to get out of the social mess and everything that they get into. But then these wars really make them a lot of funds and resources to the war, to the detriment of their education and research. Right? They can never get some of the advances of the uh, modern technology and implement them into that. Look at even the United States. There's so much money spent for the defense industry, and so little money is available for humanities, right? That's a tragedy. We proclaim that we allow freedom, we are the bastions of humanity, and we champion for the freedom of everybody and all of that, you know. But then we spend so many armaments to all sorts of people, right? All sorts of countries. And when the suffering happens, then we kind of try to blame only one side. But this whole thing of engagement in conflict is because we are all kind of identifying with something or other, and thereby separating ourselves from one human whole unity. As a matter of fact, even physics is talking about now that there is only one energy in which we are all present. So one wholesome unit. So I call myself world citizen. I don't have to identify myself as Indian because I'm not there in India. I came here in 1981. I don't call myself only American either. I live in America. I like America for certain things, but I don't approve certain things. But still, I like the freedom. I like the opportunity to share my whatever I know with other people to help welfare of the world, right? So I follow the ancient wisdom for my own self-salvation or self-realization or self-liberation or just free of all these burdens of identifications, right? The ancient wisdom had talked about it for millennia. It's not something new we are seeing. It is there for millennia. The only thing is we need to tap into it and learn it, right? So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That's what they said, the ancient. Vasudhaiva means the entire world. Kutumbakam means family. The entire world is one family. The entire world includes not only human beings, but also animals and also the plants and everything. The whole thing, right? The astronauts who flew away from the Earth, and they always said this. When they looked at the blue glowing Earth from above, they had a spiritual experience. How beautiful that is from there, how wonderful it is when you come back and stay here. So they had a spiritual experience, they said. So that is the realization. There's only one globe, and then we are kind of not cooperating, trying to prevent globalization of the all these ills that we aggravate in the west to the east, to the east to east. Those things are going on all the time. But instead, we care for the earth as one whole family, and then really work towards really taking away the global heat. That would be wonderful. So, in my book, which is called Modern Challenges, Ancient Solutions, I have been writing it for 3 years now. I have completed some short versions in the ebook. I have not published them because I keep on updating it. So I will, but then first chapter is about this global heat, how we, being rampant consumers, have contributed to the global heat, and how we can change to a simple life with the inner rich thinking and really be aware of what's going on with the human activity that is contributing to the global heat, and how we can change small things, right? The second chapter is about eternal wars, why we are having wars eternally, never taking any lessons from the previous war, but also really making armaments that can destroy us, all of us, several times over in a second, right? That is the situation we are in. And do we have any responsibility for that growth? Do we have any thinking about that? Are we just really content to be satisfied with our own little lives? That's the question I asked myself too. There was another incident that really influenced me. Was this was something I read. See, J. Krishnamurti is a uh, educator and thinker, and he's enormously influential in making people think about for themselves. Right? He was really doing a lot of lectures around the world, but at the time he was in India talking to some people, because all people gathered around him, sometimes 5,000, 10,000. But there's a close circle of 30, 40 people around him all the time, right? And that was the time when Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. And so obviously they were all disturbed and they were all very sad, right? So they came around Krishnamurti and told him, uh, please help us understand this, why this happened. Then he looked around all of them and he said, do you know you're all responsible for his assassination? Then they took it back and said, what are you saying? We are here, we have nothing to do with that. No, you are identifying yourself either as Hindu or Muslim, right? Do we need to do that? Krishnamurti was a true global citizen. He did not claim nationality of anybody. Maybe for passport things, for practical things, maybe there, but in his own heart, he accepted everybody as human being, right? That was the ancient wisdom too. But he himself, by himself, he realized that, and he said, you identify Hindu, then you created a clan. You identified as Muslim, you created another clan. And both clans are hating each other, and then that hatred went too deep into this killer, and then he came and assassinated Gandhiji for that. In a way, he's right. Who is allowing these identifications to grow, and then the identification so firm, people will separate themselves from being one power union, and then they kill each other. Right? That is the fundamental reason of why the eternal wars are. That is how I feel about it. It doesn't have to be the golden truth or anything, but it is a observation. It's something. That's why I don't identify with anybody, but I learn from everybody, and I can share that with everybody. Right? So even my patients come, what I do is I try to do a namaste, which is inside. I would say namaste to this patient, but then immediately reminds me what I'm doing is I am really prostrating to the divine being, life force of the patient with the life force of mine. So recognize that the divinity, all the other layers, like a male or female, or particular nationality, particular social background, all those filters fall down. And then I relate to him at that level, and not that all the time, but I grew into understanding that. You know, even now when I have somebody interviews me or when somebody asks me something on my rooms, that's what I do. Okay, some people may think weird things about me, but that is up to them. That's their own thinking. That's not the reality. I'm a global citizen understanding the earth, the role of me as a human being on the earth, and then sharing things with everybody else. So that's what I wanted to say for today, and I hope you all take a note of what I was talking about, and please communicate with me if you have any uh, inkling of discussing this kind of topic, and I'll be happy to share what I know. Thank you very much. Namaste, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.